Welcome to the final session. Here we're going to take a deep dive into your own immunity to change for this activity. I recommend having a piece of paper handy and jotting down the answers to those questions that I'm about to ask you. Here's question number 1. What kind of things would help you perform at your peak if they happened more often or less often around you? What kind of things would help you perform at your peak if they happened more often or less often around you? As you think about your answer to this question, consider first what it is like to perform at your peak. There's moments when you feel really connected to purpose, when you're doing that thing that you do and it feels good. Those are often the examples of peak performance. So what do you wish would happen more often around you so that you could be in that peak performance zone? It could be things like less distractions, more feedback from people, less travel, this kind of things. So make a list. It doesn't have to be something you think about a lot. Just write down the first 3 or 5 things that come to mind, that if they happen more often or less often around you, would help you perform at your peak. I'll give you an example from my own work, my own life. This is a number of years ago, but I found myself often complaining that I didn't have enough time to rest. I also was complaining that I needed less screen time, less time reading emails on the computer, on my phone. Those are my answers to question 1. So now jot down what comes up for you. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. It's a fill in the blank kind of question. I'm committed to the value or importance of fill in the blank. I am committed to the value or importance of fill in the blank. I'll give you my example in case it's not clear. So for question number 1, I talked about having more rest and less screen time. Well, the thing that was important to me, that was underneath those complaints, was health and balance. I'm much more happy and productive when I'm balanced at home as well as at work. So I was committed to the value or importance of health, and I'm really committed to the value or importance of family time. That's how I answered question number 2. So take a minute now, maybe pause the video if you need to write down what you're committed to and what's important to you. That is underneath those question number 1 answers that you wrote. So this question number 2 is really useful because when you hear someone complain, which is what question number 1 often feels like, I wish I had more downtime. I wish I spent less time at work. Whenever you hear someone complain or hear yourself complain, you can say, what are you committed to? What's important to you? It's a really nice way to transform a complaint into something that you can begin to work with. The other nice thing about this is that those complaints from question number 1 are often indicators that you're facing a leadership moment. So rather than trying to ignore them or just solve them right away, you can say, what do we do with that? And question number 2 is a way to get underneath question number 1. But let's move now to question number 3. What do I do or not do that gets in the way of my question number 2 values? What am I doing or not doing that gets in the way of this question number 2 values? These things that are important to you. So for me, it was pretty obvious if you saw me in those moments where maybe I had a choice to do more work or rest. You'd see me saying yes to everything. It didn't matter if the work was meaningful or not. I'd say yes. That was an example of something that I was doing. I was saying yes to too many things. And so for you, as you think about what are you doing or not doing that gets in the way of these things that you value deep down, dig deep, be honest with yourself. It's not that you do this all the time, but sometimes. And if we can help identify those things you do that get in the way, we can begin to unlock your own immunity to change. So be careful that you don't get into solutions. If you're writing down something that says, I should do X, I just need to do Y, I ought to do ABC, that probably means you are on the wrong track here. I want to know, what are you doing that gets in the way? Not what you should do. What's getting in the way? What's that behavior? That's an important way to think about this question. Okay, let's move on to question number 4. Question number 4 sounds a little bit like question number 2, but it has a twist. So question number 4 is also a fill in the blank. And here goes. I might also be committed to the value or importance of fill in the blank. I might also be committed to the value or importance of fill in the blank. To answer this question, look at what you wrote down for question number 3. These things that get in the way. And ask yourself, what else might I be committed to that helps explain why I behave in those ways that are against my values? So for me, you'll recall that I was committed to my health and also family time. And yet I was doing things that got in the way of that. Well, the other things I was committed to was being liked. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, so that's why I said yes. Partly, of course, I wanted to do other things, but that was partly why I was also committed to this identity. I was committed to my own importance, my own reputation as a dependable, hardworking person. And with friends and family, even when I was home with the family, I wasn't as available to them. So that's what it was for me. And your answers could be more personal. They could be more work related. But the point here is to be honest with yourself, to look and dig deeper and really ask yourself, what are these competing values? And this is where the immunity to change idea comes into play. Where on the one hand, you might be committed to health and rest, but on the other hand, you're committed to self-preservation, being liked, whatever it might be. And this competing set of commitments hold you in place. It might feel tough. It might even make you a little bit nervous or anxious. That's okay. Because in the next question, we're going to unpack some of that and see how you can begin to get unstuck from your own immunity to change. So question number 5 is, What might I be ready to let go of? What might I be ready to let go of? So what I'd like you to do is to reflect on your answers to question number 3 and question number 4, and ask yourself, are you ready to let go of any of those things? Are you ready to stop behaving in certain ways, to stop saying yes to everything, like in my case? Are you ready to be less committed to your question number 4 values? There's things that are holding you back. Now, I want to be really careful here that you don't force yourself, right? Force-based change is not what leadership is about. It's about our readiness, cultivating a readiness for change within yourself, within your team, within your organization, not about forcing it. So if you're not ready to let go of anything, that's okay. For now, that's where you are. But by asking this question, what am I ready to let go of? You can create an awareness so that when an opportunity arises to make a different choice, to go down a different path, you'll see it. You'll see the moment when it comes your way. And what I'd like you to do, if you do have something that you're ready to let go of, a behavior or one of these values, is to think of a small experiment. Something that you can try, really small, not too risky, not too dangerous, and something you can try right now in the next day or two, or in the next week. It could be having a more courageous conversation with a colleague or a boss. It could be making a decision that you've been holding off because it would be unpopular or something. It could be taking a stand or putting your aspiration into the world in a bigger way, stepping more fully into your purpose. It's up to you. It's kind of not important what you choose, but as that Martin Luther King Jr. quote says, it's important that you choose, that you move forward, that you try something, that you learn more about your immunity to change. And as you do that, develop the courage, the insight, the wherewithal to exercise that kind of courage more often. So, what are you ready to let go of? And what might you do to begin to let go of your own immunity to change? My example, very briefly, is I began to say no to things. I began to spend not just more time resting, but more quality time with those I care about. Not on the computer, on the phone, not getting distracted. And it was hard at first. Some of the aspirations that I held for myself, some of those complaints that I had back in question 1, began to transform into new possibilities and new realities. So change is small, but the smallest changes are sometimes the most meaningful ones. So good luck on your experiments. Hi, I'm Ngobizit Ndlovu, and I'm pleased to welcome you to Discover Your Leadership Moment, a short course that lays out basic concepts to prepare you to lead consequential change, starting of course with your own personal adaptive challenge. The course has 4 sessions, each with videos, thought exercises, and a reflective balcony practice. It invites you to discover your own potential to lead. We'll track closely the book, Your Leadership Moment, Democratizing Leadership in an Age of Authoritarianism, written by my good friend and leadership expert, Eric Martin, to democratize leadership so that anyone who seeks to create meaningful change can leverage their leadership moments, regardless of their history, identity, or access to power and financial resources. This course is part of an inquiry. We explore insights into questions that may seem original or maybe unorthodox, even at times outrageous. Who is this course for, you might say? This course is for a kind of intellectual yogi, someone who stretches, is interested in rewiring, taking apart, and reassembling core conceptions of self, of the world, and of leadership. It is for people who are encountering deep, adaptive challenges and trying to make sense of life, work, and the world. Quite likely, you'll find that it changes the way that you think and see. And the way that it will flow is you will go through video recorded material and do some thought exercises and practice is suggested as homework. But for a deeper engagement, you can go to the Boost forum so that you can work the material with others. Each session is accompanied by some kind of practice, a reflection, a thought exercise, an awareness practice, something work-related, to experience the core ideas differently. And of course, this is a self-guided journey, which means you can move at your own pace, and the material will be available to you whenever you want to access it. Some questions that we'll explore include: what is democratizing leadership? And why is it important in today's world? Why am I even here? What do I mean when I say leadership? How do I identify leadership moments in my professional and personal life? And what will it take to get out of my own way so that I can lead consequential change and lead more effectively? Also, you're part of something much bigger here. By joining this course, you're also a member of Boost, an overarching online space for community and coursework. Boost members hail from around the world from different backgrounds, all dedicated in their unique way to the exercise of leadership. So, welcome. At this point, you should be feeling fairly comfortable with how to identify leadership moments and feeling a bit clearer about your own purpose, and hopefully having a healthier dose of realism about the possibilities and the perils of exercising leadership. So in this final session, we ask, what kind of change might you yourself be ready for so that you can step more fully into your own leadership moments and your own purpose? Now, my assumption is that because you are taking this course and not a remedial leadership course or a basic leadership course, my assumption is that you're already performing at a fairly high level in your organization. And that's good news. However, that also means that making any kind of consequential change in how you show up will require some unlearning and maybe even letting go of old habits and old patterns that you might be stuck in. This means looking more closely at how you get in your own way so that you can clear the way for your own growth. The personal adaptive change exercise that I'll guide you through was developed by Bob Keegan and Lisa Leahy, who are two researchers at Harvard School of Education and are known as the foremost adult learning experts. The exercise involves honestly answering 5 questions about yourself. And of course, the more honest you are, the more profound your learning will be.